after covering novel, poetry, essay in Indian English, we have now come to the point where we look at Indian English drama. As I've noted, we are looking at various genres in which Indian English writing comes to us, and also through this we are looking at a chronological trajectory of Indian English writing. So we were looking at the 1960s poetry in the last class with more focused on Arun Kolatkar and Jayanta Mahapatra, Kamala Das's works. We will try to move a bit forward in that trajectory, and the play that we will look at in closely and read it critically will be Dance Like a Man by Mahesh Dattani, and through it we will try to look at the dramatic tradition as it unfolds in Indian English Indian English writing. So to look at the historical trajectory of drama in English from India, one has to go back to the 19th century. Modern secular drama came to places like Bombay and Calcutta in the 19th century, first decades of 19th century, when British residents of these cities were producing amateur plays. So the play, basically English plays, were restricted to the British residents of these cities, and some few Indian gentlemen who were well versed in English at this point of time, and we are looking at first decades of 19th century. Moving on, at that time also another interesting way in which drama was produced in India was that troops which were coming from Australia, New Zealand, after performing there, British troops, the drama troops that were performing there, on their way back to England, they would stop in India, and mostly in Bombay and Calcutta they would perform their plays. So those were two ways in which English plays were performed in India. Secular playwriting in Bengali and Marathi started after the universities were set up in Bombay, Calcutta and Madras in the mid 1850s. In the mid 1850s, once they were set up, the newly educated class, which were well versed in the English dramatic tradition, Shakespeare and others, and also the Indian Sanskrit tradition of drama, started to write secular plays in these cities of Bombay and Calcutta in Bengali and Marathi. So they were acquainted with two dramatic traditions primarily, and that has a very significant impact on Indian dramatic tradition post 19th century. One was Shakespeare, the other was Sanskrit. As Shanta Gokhale will tell us, these were the predominant traditions which led to modern secular dramatic writing from India itself. So, so the Indians were discovering Sanskrit plays that were written and translated into various Indian languages. So were also Shakespearean plays making their inroads into many of the Indian languages, again translated. So classical Sanskrit plays by Kalidasa, Bhavabhuti, Narayana Bhatt, where again like these were the predominant actors, and obviously you had Shakespeare whose plays were a significant influence on Indian dramaturgs at this point of time. The first play written by an Indian in English is by a person named Krishna Mohan Banerjee. Please remember the name. In 1831 writes a play named The Persecuted, or as it is known, dramatic scenes illustrative, sorry, not illustrated, of the in Calcutta. Okay. In 1831, Krishna Mohan Banerjee writes this play, The Persecuted, or the dramatic scenes illustrative of the present state of Hindu society in Calcutta in 1831. It was less a play, as Shanta Gokhale reminds us. It was less a play and more a dramatized debate of conflicts between orthodox Hindu customs and new ideas introduced by Western education, as you can see, and reenactment of modernity versus tradition debate, which we have seen in like Bankim's Rajmohan's Wife or Horse and Two Goats, or the poetry of Toru Dutt, Kolatkar, Ezekiel, Mahapatra, or Kamala Das. We have seen this debate being replayed again and again, and it tells you the importance of this debate itself. And as you will see, this debate also kind of characterizes our play today that we will be discussing in detail, that is Dance Like a Man by Mahesh Dattani. So, this was again, so Indian English drama begins with a discussion and a debate on the modernity and tradition binary. Majority, while anyone interested in English play prefer to see those written by native English speakers, majority of the Indians preferred those performed in Indian languages. So, English drama writing in English actually took a hit because mostly people went to watch drama written in their own languages, in the vernacular, in the bhashas of India itself. And therefore, you will see Shakespeare being emulated, adapted in many of the Indian languages. One example will be Bengali play that is named Kriti Vilas in 1852, which emulates Shakespearean tragedy. It is written by Jogesh Chandra Gupta. So, the name of the play is Kriti Vilas. It is written by Jogesh Chandra Gupta. It is produced in 1852. The first original Marathi play again took its theme and form from Shakespeare's history plays. It was Vinayak Janardhan Kirtan is Torle Madhav Rao. Sorry. Torle Madhavrao Peshwe is a historic play that is produced in 1851. Again, Shakespeare's undeniable influence is very visible because in one, if it is a Shakespearean tragedy, in the Bengali one, in the Marathi one, you see the influence of historical plays of Shakespeare, as you can see. So, what we get to know from both of these examples, so we have early play written in English in 1831, 1852. You see Shakespeare's influence in writing modern secular Bengali plays, and then you see in Marathi also. By and large, in Indian English writing, drama has been one of the less discussed, also less explored genres of Indian English writing, because first there are 2-3 roadblocks that are there. First, as you will see, even today, except for places like Bombay and other metropolises, hardly English plays are viable commercially. So, given that the scarce funding and the limited opportunities, one, that's why it depends on successful plays from the West that are being performed in many of these places. So, you do not have commercial or financial initiative to go on staging plays in English in India. Now, that's why it's one of the major roadblocks that are there. And as I mentioned in partly that most of this is restricted to places like Bombay, Bangalore and other metropolises. It's not unlike other genres of Indian English writing, which seem to have a much vaster catchment area in terms of both readership as well as authors coming from various different places. If you just look at many of these poets, for example, and you look at their positions where they have come from in terms of geography in India, you will realize the difference. And if you look at novel also, similarly, you will see a vast like field for other genres. So, therefore, one of the main reasons for drama's neglect has been this kind of metropolitan centric nature of it, and it's kind of a cycle also, because outside those spaces they have not survived those metropolitan places. The second is also that most of them, thanks to related to this first point, the second point is that most of them are not actually performed. They are probably first only written, and they have never been also able to be staged. So, that is why they are like their availability is also a question. So, therefore, a work like S. Krishna Bhatt's Indian English drama becomes monumental, considering that many of these plays might not be available in print also anymore, let alone be staged. So, this book provides us a bibliography of it, and therefore, when you see that despite all these hurdles, Indian English drama has flourished, and at least the number mentioned by Bhatt is around 200 post independence. That number seems to be actually a good number, because first you have the lack of, as I said, financial incentive, and then second is that they are mostly not performed but only written. Many of them do not make to the stage. So, you have lack of financial incentive related to performance and everything. So, despite that, Indian English drama has flourished. given the number is 200 if we take the conservative estimate of S. Krishna Bhatt, because whatever Bhatt would have been able to source in terms of that. So, if we know this domain, if we just remember this when we are reading Indian English drama, it will actually do us good to then contextualize Indian English drama within Indian English writing as well as post-independence India, which is our focus through Dattani's work itself. Let's look at some of Dattani's predecessors, and the first predecessors from 1960 that I will focus on will be someone named Asif Currimbhoy, who wrote 4 plays. Plays are The Dole Drummers, The Dumb Dancer, Goa, and The Hungry One. Currimbhoy was educated in United States and much of his life worked in a multinational oil company. His plays, of which there are 29 in all, are substantial in content and rich theatrical devices, monologues, choruses, chants, songs, slide projection, sound effects, mime, anything in fact that furthers their dramatic purpose is used in his work. Interestingly, Currimbhoy was not known in India for a long time till his reputation was established in United States. The Asian scholar named Fabian Bauer declared in New York's The Village Voice, a magazine, that Currimbhoy was emerging more and more clearly as a playwright of international stature, that he started to gain importance in India itself. So then Goa was produced at University of Michigan, and it was produced also at Martinique Theatre on Broadway, and Dole Drummers also gained reputation. It was only in 1969, after writers like Khushwant Singh and Mulk Raj Anand wrote protest letters because Dole Drummer was banned in India, that the ban was lifted and little theatre group in Delhi staged it. So, Asif Currimbhoy's work goes through many of these turbulent periods leading to his kind of eminence in terms of Indian English drama itself. One major thing that happens in the 1960s is 1968, we have the Sultan Padam C award that is instituted for Indian English drama, Indian plays in English. This gave much needed, if you remember, as I was talking about, there was no financial incentive. So, in 68 when Sultan Padam C award was established, it kind of gave a fillip to Indian English drama itself, and this award was won by Gurucharan Das, who is our next person that we look at, for Lawrence Sahib. So, Gurucharan Das wins it for Lawrence Sahib. So, unlike Currimbhoy, who took up contemporary political and social situations but turned them into passionate dramatic statements, Gurucharan Das took recourse to history to cull from a character and story that had potential of being turned into a colorful romantic tale. The Lawrence Sahib is set in 1846-47 Lahore. That deals with the crisis that overtook Punjab 7 years after the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So, if Asif Currimbhoy was talking about contemporary social political scenarios, Gurucharan Das was taking recourse to history. The next major figure that we look at is actually Nissim Ezekiel, who wrote his plays under this influential figure called Ibrahim Al-Qazi. Al-Qazi was a very influential figure because he goes on to become the first, if I am not wrong, he goes on to become the first director of NSD, National School of Drama in Delhi, which was instituted. Ezekiel looked up to Al-Qazi as a mentor figure. Ezekiel has three, Ezekiel's play oeuvre consists of 3 plays, which is 1969. It has 3 plays actually that are collected in it, called Nalini, Marriage Poem, and Sleepwalkers. These 3 plays are collected in a volume called 3 Plays, which comes out in 1969. As you can see, and we are talking about Ezekiel when we were discussing his poetry. Ezekiel had broad interest and wrote in very different registers itself. Nalini concerns itself with the class of westernized Indians, whereas other Sleepwalker is a one-act satire in a minor key on Indian habit of always looking up to United States. So, Ezekiel is talking about again this idea of modernity versus tradition, and also looking at post-independence India, where Indians are trying to have a very complex negotiation with the West, especially USA and other parts of the Anglo-American world. Like Ezekiel, the next person will be Gieve Patel, who was also introduced to the theatre by Ibrahim Al-Qazi, Al-Qazi's theatre unit production, and who was working as a working as a playwright under him, written 3 full-length plays. They are set in South Gujarat, where his parents come from. Another major figure that we should look at will be someone named Cyrus Mistry. Cyrus Mistry's first play was called Dungaji House. It won the Sultan Padamsee Award in 1978. As you can see how important this award itself becomes. Mistry's plays brings the themes that are universal and existential, though it's located and enacted through Parsi households. The common human desire for happiness, which are thwarted by forces beyond the individual's comprehension, the ultimate loneliness and vulnerability of human beings. And one of the striking features of Cyrus Mistry's plays is the use of the language, the innovative use and play on English itself by using Parsi, Gujarati expressions that are there. If all of this was coming from the center of Bombay, Bangalore soon becomes a hub also of playwriting. The most important one who emerges from Bangalore will be Mahesh Dattani. Dattani's first play was Where There Is a Will, was performed by his play group Playpen, and then at the same festival in 1988, where he also at the same festival in the Deccan Herald Theatre Festival in 1988, where he first did his play Where There Is a Will. In the following year, that is 1989, he performs Dance Like a Man. So, as you can see in our trajectory of Indian English, we have now moved from 1960s, where the entire discussion on poetry and drama itself, to 1980s, almost 1990s in terms of our discussion. So, we are like moving chronologically as well as genre wise also. And we have reached the stage of Mahesh Dattani and the play Dance Like a Man. We will come to discuss more about Dance Like a Man in the next lecture.